Hi, everyone. Paul Goyette here again, and welcome back to Goyette Ruano Thompson. I am once again joined by Mr. Mark Peacock, my good friend and expert personal injury lawyer and litigator. Mark, thanks for joining again.
Yeah, thank you. This is good.
Yeah, this is fun. So we've been talking in previous episodes about what you look for in taking a personal injury case. What are the things you look at that make you conclude there is a case there? We talked about the impact of the employment setting and workers' compensation, but most importantly, whether the client needs to be retired or is going to get a disability retirement. But I want to ask now about the value of going to trial. And I thought about this previously when we were talking. You mentioned that one of your strategies is to file a lawsuit as soon as you can. As soon as you get the client signed up, as quickly as you can, which is really different than most lawyers operate, is you get that lawsuit filed and served, boom, as fast as you can, because you want to put pressure on the defendant and the defendant's insurance company and the money source out there, right?
That's correct.
Now, is part of your strategy, or is it an effective strategy to, on certain cases, be able to go to trial, to have a jury decide your case?
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
and why is that?
Because most people don't want to go to trial. The reality is, how many attorneys will actually really go to trial? Most people in the public, family members, ask them, do you think that all attorneys like to go to court and try cases? And they say, yeah, it's not true.
No.
Most attorneys
it's not.
Yeah, pardon my French, are scared shitless about going into a courtroom, number one, and having to stand up in front of 12 people and explain something while you have a grumpy judge like barking at you that your questions are inappropriate or something. It's a very dramatic and taxing environment. However, and I think the numbers, like, I don't know what it is, 6% of all lawyers actually try cases or something like that. If the defense knows, the insurance companies know that you are willing to take a matter to trial, it increases the value of the case exponentially. And if you are serious about it, and there's ways that you can show them that you're serious about it. And again, I hate to be a repeating monkey here. However, one of the ways you do that initially, you file a lawsuit.
Okay.
Boom.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So when you do that, I tell clients this: when you do that, you are now the lead dog. You're creating the pace, and everybody else is riding right behind you. And guess what they're looking at? If you're right behind that dog and that guy, and you're that lead dog, you are controlling the pace, you're controlling the tempo, you're controlling the dialogue, you're controlling who gets deposed, when, how, and all that kind of stuff. You're in control. And that is extremely important. And if they know and they see and they experience, hey, you're not afraid to take 20 depositions. You're not afraid to ramp it up to go to trial. You're not afraid to retain experts. Because once you start retaining experts, man, you're sending a message. We're getting ready for trial.
Because you're spending money.
You're spending money. And guess what? If you have a high-value case with a great client, it's a horrible situation, you want to send that message. And you want to be able to go to trial, and you need to be dedicated to that vision. That has to be actually the mission of the file. When I get the cases lined up like that, the first thing I do is I file a lawsuit right away. You ask my staff, I'm barking at everybody, file right away, file it. And then you create a theme. So what's the theme? It could be anything. The defense is not taking responsibility for action. And then you start jamming that theme, you build on that theme, you jam it against the defense, and they know that you're not screwing around. And when you're talking with them, you're saying things to them like, how much insurance do you have? Do you have excess? You start asking those questions right away. Boom, boom, boom. You're not taking your time. You're not casually doing things. You're aggressively doing things, and you control the pace. And that does send a message.
And then what I think the finish line that everyone sees on the horizon, which may not be a distant horizon, is that fixed trial date.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. There's a lot of things to say about a trial, but I'd say the big things is, guess what? At the end of the day, do insurance companies feel comfortable going to trial with your client who's an officer, a police officer, firefighter, public safety person? I had a nurse, a public nurse. It doesn't have to be a police officer.
No, a teacher would be good.
A teacher. Do they really want to put a teacher up in front of a jury if she broke her back? They shy away from that. They want to suddenly talk about getting it resolved. Most cases do get resolved. Most cases do get settled. However, we don't want to compromise the value of the settlement. I can't stand that. Sometimes you see cases, you go, oh, that's a $500,000 case. And some attorney just did a quick hit. They don't file on it. They get some money out of it. The client thinks that everything's great, but the client doesn't realize he or she just walked away from $500,000 because that attorney was afraid to go to trial. The attorney was afraid to file a lawsuit. The attorney was afraid to work. And anybody that's going to be afraid to work, whether it's your gardener or your lawyer or your doctor, you don't want to go to that person.
Of course not. So that's really what it is. It's effort, right?
It's exactly. And at the end of the day, if they see that you're grinding it out, you're in the foxhole and you got an M60 and you're firing away, man. When you're out of bullets, you're throwing rocks, doing whatever it takes to represent your client, then guess what? You have got their attention. They might not like you, but who gives a shit? You have their attention, and they're going to treat you, and more importantly, your client with respect. Wow. They don't always like clients. They'll give you crap about some stuff about, oh, he's a cop, cops are bad, or you have somebody say stuff like that, which is ridiculous stuff. Yeah. At the end of the day, they don't want to go in front of that jury. It always happens. And if you take them in front of the jury, guess what, man? The juries come back for public safety. They do. They fall in line. They love their public safety.
Yeah. Well, interesting. I just finished a jury trial less than a week ago, and our judge during jury selection, or right after jury selection, said some interesting comments to the jury. And
I'd love to hear this.
Federal court judge Jeffrey White, who was a very, very, very good trial judge. And what he said was, and I've heard some variations of this before, but he made it very, very clear, is that our judicial system, particularly our jury trial system, to ultimately settle criminal and civil cases is the envy of the world. Because most democratic countries don't have this type of system, and non-democratic countries don't have anything close to it, where you can get a jury of your peers, whether it be 12 people in a criminal case or 9 to 12 people in a civil case, that actually you have a process to select these jurors. You weed out the ones with prejudices and biases, and you get 12 smart, attentive people to hear your issue and make a decision. And I've seen this because I've done 55 jury trials now to verdict. I have seen this group of people stand in the way of, out of control governments, out of control corporations. And it dawned on me what a value, how lucky we are to have that system at our disposal.
Oh yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah. We're very, very, very fortunate to have that. Most people don't realize that until they get into a pickle.
Because even countries like England and
that's the other way around.
EU, they don't have it.
They don't have it.
They don't have a true trial by jury system in criminal and let alone civil cases.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts to me.
It's crazy. And in doing what we do, especially like personal injury, you allow 12 people to do the right thing, to hear the damages that their fellow citizens are going through. Yeah. And with my clients, it's all public safety. So they get to hear the hero's story. And guess what? They always respond very, very well.
That's got to be a pretty fun and easy sell.
Oh yeah, and it's extreme. Talk about extremely rewarding. You feel like you.
Do you like doing trials?
Oh, I love doing that stuff. For me,
I can see you.
Well, I can see you too, man. I would rather spend every waking hour in front of a jury, dancing and laughing and doing, telling stupid dad jokes. But that's more to me. That's what I do more than doing office work, which is necessary and all that is important. However, when you're out there in the trenches, like helping these people, like your trial, you just helped someone out in an incredible way. You basically saved that guy's life. If you really think about it, you did. To be able to do that, to be part of that process, what a humbling thing that is. Most people don't have that opportunity in their life to do something like that. And if you're able to do that, great. So you help somebody out. If I'm able to get somebody some money that helps them out, game-changing, life-changing environments, what a, not to be corny or anything, what a blessing that is.
No doubt.
It's a good thing.
And then I guess, as a legal practitioner, and part of the strategy is the other side has to know that you're willing to go to trial.
Yeah, Hey, listen, I've been doing it, 34 years now? They know. And once they know, guess what? You draw their respect from the first day. From the very first day. Before I came up here, I got an email from an attorney down in San Diego, It's Julie. She goes, I'm on another file with you, Mark. And guess what? It's a difficult liability case, but it's a good damages case.
You've already filed a lawsuit on it.
Yes, I already filed a lawsuit. And she's an outsider, but you know what? That goes back to what we were kind of talking about a little bit. She knows, number one, that we're more than willing to go to trial on the case. So that part of it's like, okay, this is not just some dude like off the internet. This attorney is willing to take that case for that person to trial and risk it and do it. And do it in such a way that's going to get a good recovery for the client. He's prepared to do that. And nobody's going to stand in his way. So once that attorney knows that, and like in Julie's case, she knows I'll do that. So guess what? She calls me up and now wants to talk like real.
You've got an enhanced value of the case from the start.
Exactly. And you know how that is. Like, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Okay, well, that's super helpful. The point I wanted to get out to our viewers in this particular segment is there is value in going to trial, and when you're out there picking a lawyer to represent you, in this case, if it was Mr. Peacock on a personal injury case, you need a personal injury lawyer who's willing to go to trial and is willing to make that happen and has a reputation of doing so because you will instantly enhance the value of your case. So thank you so much for joining us on this series about personal injury. Mark, thanks a million for being here. Super fun and informative as usual. So we look forward to working with you more.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, bud.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.